Once you save the deployment info, it'll take you to this screen right here. And this is where you actually start looking through photos. So what you'll notice is that the number of sequences, so what this program does is it takes all those 115 photos and it puts them into sequences. And sequences are basically any string of photos that is captured within a minute of each other. And we see that once it does that, we actually only have 20 sequences that need to be identified. So it makes this process a lot easier. You'll also be able to verify that you have the correct site in. So Wasatch Wildlife Watch 2019 summer project. For you guys, it'll be 2020. And then the deployment is correct, EM01 2019. So everything looks really good here. If you want to edit that info, so let's say as you're going through and uploading these photos, you notice something strange, you can always click on the edit info button right there, and you can go through and change any of this if need be. All right, so now to actually look through the photos themselves. You'll see that there's basically all of these little sequences up here. Yellow exclamation point means that they need identifying, and you'll see how that changes as we go and identify these sequences. But what we're doing is basically identifying animals as an entire sequence. And so we're not just identifying what's in each photo, we're identifying what's going on in the entire sequence. And so what that means is, let's say we're at sequence 1, the photos that are associated with sequence 1 are down below. And so in this case, it's just a photo of absolutely nothing. It looks like the volunteer's probably setting up the camera and has their finger or something like that in front of it. And so it took a photo of nothing. And so you can go ahead and put no animal here. You can put calibration. It doesn't matter. And then you'll see that once you identify that there's nothing going on and you select from this drop-down menu right here, you can also search. So let's say we were looking for no animal, or we were looking for something like maybe it's a calibration photo. You can just search it and it'll pop up. You then click it on here. If to change the amount, you use the drop-down menu to identify the sex of the individual. And if it's an adult or a juvenile, you can do this as well. This is actually fairly important. We are trying to record breeding territory here. And so if you see juveniles especially, use the drop-down menus to identify how many of the total were juveniles. If you have trouble identifying what's a juvenile and what's not, feel free to take a photo of your screen and send that picture to me and ask me if it's a juvenile, and I can tell you hopefully right on the spot. Let's say you put in an animal that you did not actually think was there. You can always click on this little red remove species button. It'll take it off, and then you can go ahead and see that now it does need to be identified again. So you re-identify it, and now it's been identified. And then you just have to cycle through each one of these and identify everything that you see. So we're just going to keep doing that. It looks like this is Ron setting up the camera. Okay, so there he is. He's setting up the camera. To cycle through all the photos in here, you can simply use the left and right arrow keys on your keyboard and cycle through. Looks like it's still setting it up. All right, we still have setup right here. Okay. We're still going through the setup process. You'll notice that a lot of the first few photos are always going to be setup photos. This is just kind of the name of the game. Okay, then it looks like this might be the last one. All right, so now the camera is set up and it's rolling. And so what you'll notice is what we did not see was something called the site placard. That's the little placard that you hold in front of the camera to verify the date and time. We don't have access to that, and so we currently are not sure whether or not the photo is actually having the correct date and timestamp or not. And so because we don't have that, we need to put that information in our comments. And so for this one, we would put something like site placard not displayed, unable to verify date and time. And so then what I have to do on the back end is see if I can verify the date and time, which is stamped right here. And if not, then we have to throw out the data from the camera. Okay, and so what you'll notice is that you have this small screen that you can see the photos of. If you want to make that bigger, you just click on this blue button right here. That'll enlarge the screen for you so you can look through them. If you want to, let's say you love a certain photo of an animal, and this can only be done for animals, do not do this for any humans. You can click on this star button right here and favorite the image. What that'll do is then that'll say once these photos are uploaded, this photo will then appear on our website. And so it's very important that you only click on this for really good animal photos and not for any photos of humans. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and say that this one, we really like this one. Um, and so what it is a magpie. You'll notice though that magpie is not listed. So eMammal is a mammal website almost exclusively, and so birds do not typically show up. So what you do with birds is just click other bird species or unknown bird species. It doesn't matter. We don't get enough data from them to actually record them anyway. And then you're just going to keep going through the process. So we have a night vision photo right here, and we can't really see what's going on in this smaller part of the screen. So we'll enlarge it, and you'll notice that a really nice trick is to just kind of go back and forth through the photos. Our brains are really good at picking up movement in this way. And so you just continue to go through this and see if you see anything in the background. I don't see anything particularly. It does look like there is something moving behind this bush, but since we can't verify it completely, if you know that there is something there, you can either put unknown animal right here. And if you know the type of animal, there's a whole list of unknowns that you can supply, or you can put no animal. And in this case, I don't know if that was for sure an animal that was right over there or not. I'm gonna go ahead and put no animal. All right, then we go on to the next one. We see that we've got a little guy darting across our screen right there. It looks like it's a small mammal of some sort. It might even be a squirrel. Can't verify it though. So what we're gonna put here is either unknown animal, unknown squirrel, or unknown small rodent. For this one, I'm just gonna go with the all-encompassing unknown animal. And then you just keep going. So right here we have 2 human beings. And again, it's the total number of people seen in the entire sequence. So if there, let's say, was another person here that came in photo 3, we would say that there are 3 people. In this case, there's just the 2. No animal right there. That's the end of that. And so unfortunately that camera didn't get anything. That does happen. Sometimes the cameras don't pick anything up. And so then it's just camera trapper or calibration photo. But anyway, now you'll notice that instead of saying needs identifying, it now says that all of our photos are identified. So once that happens and we have 0 on the needs identifying, we're ready to upload. And so we can go and we click on the upload button. When you get to this upload screen, there are a few options for you. You can either upload one at a time, which seems pretty terrible. You can either click upload remaining sequences. So let's say you're doing this in batches and you only upload a certain number of them and you just, didn't get to all of it. You can just click on uploading remaining to upload the rest of them. So let's say for whatever reason we left a couple of these blank. We can then click on the upload, and we could say re-upload all identified sequences. That just kind of is a blanket upload for everything that has the blue arrow on it. So if we click that and begin upload, it's going to upload those 18 photos that have been identified. And so this process takes a little bit of time, especially if you're uploading a lot of photos. Okay, so once it's all done, you'll now notice that the photos that were identified and uploaded now have a green check mark. You'll also notice that when we look at this large screen, we have 2 that need identifying, 18 that are identified, and 18 that are uploaded. So let's say that's all we could do for the day. For whatever reason, we couldn't get to these last 2. The way to save your progress is to simply just exit out of the program. It saves your progress automatically. So if you just exit out of the program, you'll then notice that if you go to get back into the program, it'll ask you once again if you want to install the helper tool. Go ahead and say no. Once it opens up again, what you'll want to do, and you'll want to do this every single time you log in to eMammal, is wait for a couple minutes or so. What the program's doing is talking to the data repository at the Smithsonian Institute, and it's trying to verify whether or not you already are looking through photos or not. So it's saying, do you have a session that you've been working on that you did not complete? And this process can sometimes take, like I said, anywhere from 5 seconds to a minute and a half or so. And so really you want to wait, and you'll see what happens is this button is something you can't click on, but now you'll notice that it's become illuminated like the rest of them, saying that eMammal has picked up that we were still working on a camera, that we did not get all the way through a camera that we were working on. And so this is vitally important that you wait for this button to illuminate, or to see if it is going to illuminate, because if you load new photos without finishing your previous session, it cuts off your previous session and you can't go back and change it. And so the photos that you didn't upload from that previous session are now lost. And the only way to get that back is to re-upload all of them to that session again. So you want to make sure you either finish uploading an entire SD card, or you click on this button when it's illuminated. So we're going to click on it, and it takes us right back to where we were. You'll notice that it says that we just need 2 more to finish. So we're going to go ahead and say, all right, we're going to finish those last 2. Now they've got the blue arrow on them. We'll click upload, and you can do upload remaining sequences. Begin the upload. It's going to upload those last 2 sequences into the database. And then it's just basically going to stop. And what you're going to see is that this upload bar is now going to equal the number that are identified, and there's going to be 0 under the needs identifying. This will automatically be logged by eMammal as a completion of that camera. And so it won't tell you that you've completed your camera, it won't do anything. It'll just do it on the back end saying that it's been completed, and it'll then send it for verification over to me. Once that happens, you're ready to go and you are done with the process, and you've just uploaded the camera. Your part is over, and then I will verify those images to you, and you'll get a report sent to you showing you basically the accuracy of your classifications. And so let's just wait for this to upload. It's the larger file, so the more photos in a sequence, the longer it takes to upload. Once that's done, you can click on this X right here. You'll now notice 20 are identified, 20 are uploaded. Before I exit out, I always check the deployment info, make sure I have everything in there. We were never able to verify the date and time because we didn't get that site displayed during the check either. And so sometimes you can save yourself by having the site placard displayed during the check. What I have to now go in and do is verify that the date and time are correct by looking at each individual photo, and also the time that the camera was theoretically set up to the time it was taken down. And I have to see if I can verify it to make sure that this camera actually goes into the database. All right, so you'll click Save Deployment Info, and then once you exit out of it, you actually will not be able to get back into it. And so once you're done and you've uploaded everything that needs to be identified, that's your last look to make sure that everything looks correct. Because once we click the quit button right here and we have a camera that's completed, you can't re-access that camera. And so if we quit right here and we went into the desktop app again and logged in, that continue previous session button, we'll go ahead and just show you. The continue previous session button will not illuminate this time, and it doesn't matter how long we wait, it will stay grayed out. And so you'll see authentication successful here, which means we can do offline mode and load new photos, but you'll notice that this continue previous session button never illuminates because it's reading that we do not have a previous session, that all we can do now is upload photos from a new camera. All right, so that is the process for looking through photos using eMammal. Thank you very much for tuning into this video.